we're going to go into the Kane woods that's maintained by the Scott Conservatory. And was here yesterday for the Whiskey Rebellion walk. And as we go down, I'll tell you a little bit about it. This area here is rather narrow, but it's pretty safe. We're going to go down here. And as we come around here, we're going to see this tree. 4 years ago they bored this tree, and they believe that it's about 200 years old. And you can see he's a pretty big guy. They say that he is part of the black oak family. And right here is where some information is if you needed it. And we're on Neville's Trail, I believe. It is a bit steep in through here. I would imagine that after it rains it would be a little slick. But you can really tell, I mean, it's a pretty narrow path, and you can just imagine what it must have been like 200 years ago. That tree that we just looked at probably wasn't here when the Whiskey Rebellion happened, but it was definitely here during those people's lifetime. As they were explaining it yesterday, the Whiskey Rebellion was a bit about how the taxes were being collected on whiskey. At that point in time, the government was taxing it at 7 cents a gallon. And in the city, that wasn't a big problem. There was somebody that went around each month and checked and seen how much whiskey you'd made and taxed you accordingly. But out here, it was a little harder. And so Hamilton came up with a formula, and they would take a look at your still, and pretty much everybody had one. If you weren't making it for your own consumption, you were using it for barter. And he computed out how much you could create each month. It didn't make a difference whether that's how much you actually made, or if you made more, or anything. They just cared that you had the capacity, and that's what they were taxing you on. And because the farmers thought that that was unfair, they had a little rebellion, and it was in this area. And they would have used a tree like this, possibly to leave messages. It's a hollowed out tree, and be a safe spot to leave a message. But Neville, as in Neville Island and a bunch of other Neville things around here, was a very successful man, and he had property here, and during the course of the rebellion they burnt it down. And when that happened, they kind of thought, oop, maybe we made a mistake. Perhaps we went a little overboard, but at that point they had kind of committed themselves. So they told George Washington that they had all these soldiers, I think they said 5,000, and that they were protesting this rebellion against this whiskey tax. And there was one gentleman whose name I have forgotten, who also was interested in separating from the United States at that point in time. This is after the Revolutionary War, before the War of 1812. And so they said they were going to, do all this stuff, and they got some people together to form a militia, and they practiced and things like that, but it was more along the lines of like maybe 500 people and not 5,000. And so George Washington saw this as a real threat to the United States at that point in time, and he responded with 13,000 soldiers, which was the largest force that they had probably put together at that point. And he got as far as Bedford Village when he realized what was actually going on, and he stopped and got things settled down, and two people were killed, 3 were arrested, I believe, and they were taken back to Philadelphia for trial. They were all found guilty. I believe it was of treason, but they were all pardoned after they signed off on a piece of paper saying that they would not raise up against the United States again. Except for the one gentleman whose name I forgot. He took off for New Orleans, which at the time was not a U.S. territory, and kind of hid out down there. Depending on whose side of the story you get, he may have gotten a bad rap. But he was a little bit of an instigator, but some people don't think he was as bad as all that. Let's see. He was the only one that wasn't pardoned. And actually, we're going to go down through here. This is Tom the Tinker's Trail. And this is where they staged the reenactment yesterday. And we got a little rain today, and we have a little bit of water in the creek. Yesterday it was completely dry. But part of the reason why they let everybody go was because they had just got done essentially doing the same thing to England. And George Washington realized that these farmers weren't truly trying to create their own country. They were just saying, we don't want this tax, it's unfair the way that it's being done. And so he pardoned them all. And take a look at that tree fruit. And they went on from there. Neville did not rebuild the entire property that he had before they burnt it down here. He just rebuilt, I believe it was a house and a barn and a kitchen, before he went on and built his third and final house out at Neville's Island. For the time, he was a rather wealthy man and regarded as a gentleman, but more of a frontier gentleman. There's a story that I heard yesterday about him being 65, and during this event, and some farmer attacked him, and he got down off his horse and proceeded to beat the guy up, and told him not to let that type of thing happen again, and tell his friends never to do it, and went on about his business. So he was a pretty tough old dude. Had to be to settle the frontier at that point in time, because this would have been pretty much all that there would have been even back then, other than the occasional sewer top like that that's out here. You can see trees painted green, but for the most part this is pretty much left alone. You've got some tangle up there. There's a couple of other paths through here from what I understand, but these two that we're going to go on are the two main ones. This again is Tom the Tinker's Trail that we're on right now. This is the alligator. See the alligator? One thing to keep in mind on this trail is, with most Pennsylvania trails, it is a little hilly. We're going downhill right now, but we will eventually have to go back up. This is where they had the encampment yesterday. See where they had their fire. Yesterday I came through there, but today we're going to go over the bridge. There's not a lot of water down there, but I hate to slip. See the path. I love it when the streams go up like that. They're very pretty. You can see up the hill, that's where we're going to go in a minute. We're coming to the end of the trail here, and there's a little parking space here. Yesterday when I was here, there was too many cars. It only fits about 6. This is a nice small little spot. See, people live next to the trail. Okay. This is where we came out. And this is the end. This is Scrubgrass Run, I believe.